All right, welcome everybody. This is Paris Clough with Financial Self-Reliance, and on this channel, we love to help you manage, protect, and grow your money. Today, I have a really exciting video for you. It's a kind of a new format, new thing. I have a special guest, and she has a channel here on YouTube as well. Her name is Debt Free France. That's the name of her channel. Her actual real name is France. And the minute I found her channel, and I thought, wait a minute, is this real? Is this lady really have the same that name? I thought a guy named Paris and a lady named France talking about financial planning and financial issues. We've got to do a collaboration at some point. And so I reached out, and France graciously agreed to come on the channel and chat with me a little bit about her journey in the financial world. And so I'm super excited to bring her to you and introduce her to you. So here she is, France. Meet
Hi.
the audience, meet France.
What are the chances that a Paris and a France would be doing finance videos on YouTube and just meeting each other
Right?
organically?
That is so cool. I thought that was super cool. So your channel is mostly about your debt-free journey. And one of the things that I really admire about your debt-free journey is how focused you are and how disciplined you've become in doing that. And one of the things that I like to share and talk about is the mindset that people need to have in order to truly understand their wealth, and that money has more to do with habits and more to do with your mindset than it does to do with math. Something that's funny to me is that people say, Paris, I'm not good at math. I would never be good with my money. And I'm like, how does I mean, I get it because you got to know some math, but wouldn't you agree that managing your money and your personal finance has a lot more to do with your habits, your mindset, and your psychology than it does with actual math and calculators?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember when I first started my financial journey, it's everything like you said is a mindset. It's changing the way how you spend your money and changing the way of how you want to approach your journey. And especially in my case, like with my debt, I am really aggressive with it. And I knew that I wanted to get rid of it as soon as possible. So just realizing, okay, this is my goal. How am I going to reach that goal? And how am I going to stay on this path so that I don't veer off and give up on this journey? So, yeah, mindset is definitely a huge part of being on a debt free journey.
Right. And belief too, I think, has a lot to do with it. So a lot of people, they think since they were born in a certain place or a certain way with a certain, physical body of some kind, that they have some limitations. And would you agree that because you believe you can get out of debt, because you believe you can make enough money, because you believe that you can do these things and create wealth and have a positive net worth, do you think that that has been a significant factor in your ability to be able to actually do it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I remember, like, even during my graduate school career, I've talked to classmates who are in the same boat as me with the same amount of student loan debt, and they'll tell me, like, "I'll never get out of this debt, like, I'll have this forever," and it's their belief that it's they don't believe that they're gonna get out of it, but in my case, I know I will get out of it. So, it's if you believe in it, you'll manifest it, and it'll happen. As long as you're taking the necessary steps to make it happen, it'll happen.
That's so cool. That is so true. So walk us through a little bit of that first initial planning session with yourself. You maybe you graduated just a couple months ago, or whatever you got, or maybe you just got your first job and you're finally getting your first paycheck. Like, what is your planning? Like, what do you now that when you get your first job? Maybe you even haven't got your first paycheck yet, but what do you see is the steps to take? Because having a goal is one thing, but then having a plan to get there is a whole different thing. And I think just kind of walk us through what you did when you kind of first got your first job and you're like, you know what, this is the income I'm going to have. Did you assess what you were doing? Did you kind of get into the details, and what did you do?
So first thing, right after graduation. So I graduated in 2018. First thing I
Mhm.
did was you have to take this exit interview with the federal government, and during this online interview, they'll tell you, okay, this is how much money you owe us. Basically, that's what
Wow.
the government said, and it's a very eye-opening number because it's a lot of debt. I graduated with over $147,000 of student loan debt,
Wow.
and I think the next step for me, it's okay, I have this number. How am I going to tackle this number? And what I did was educate myself. I got a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi and read that book from cover to cover, educated myself on, okay, here are the steps. And I love that book because it really simplified how it simplified personal finance in a way where I understood it and it wasn't too much, because it can be very overwhelming. Personal finance can be very
Hmm.
overwhelming. So I understood it and then I tried to apply it to my life. And that's what I did. It's like you said, it's changing your habits to be positive and making sure that habit works for you. Um, yeah, it's definitely a very eye-opening experience. And I think education is just so important. Once you're educated, then you can take the next step in application.
So you got your first paycheck and you're ready to actually apply this. What did it feel like to write that first big old fat check to your student loan rather than maybe going and buying that new car or that new dress or that outfit or going on that vacation? Like what was what kind of walk us through some of that process for you?
It definitely sucks having to give basically like 75 or 80% of my paycheck to my student loans. I remember when I had that first paycheck, I tried to, I didn't really do the math, though a website did the math for me. I remember it was like a debt-free calculator. It'll ask you how much debt you have, what is the interest rate, and it'll generally your debt will be automatically set to a 10-year payment plan. So it'll tell you how much you have to pay per month in order for you to pay off all your debt in 10 years. But in my head, I'm thinking, I don't want to have this debt for 10 years. What if I shorten this time to, let's say, 8 years, and then it'll change, the monthly payment changes again. And then it got really exciting because I'm getting a thrill of thinking, okay, like I can actually pay off my debt quicker than 10 years. And I have this number from my paycheck. So I'm doing the math on this online calculator. It's like, all right, I
Hmm.
have this paycheck. How, and if I want to pay off my loans sooner, how much of that paycheck can I really put towards my student loans?
Hmm.
Um, I made sure that I took out money for like bills, anything that I have to get pay for. So I also remember needing to save up for emergency fund because that's what a lot of people talk about. It's like make sure you have enough money for 3 to 6 months worth of expenses before you tackle anything else. So make sure I had enough money set aside for emergency funding, emergency savings, and then whatever is left over, I basically put it towards my student loan debt. So a
And
lot of
you,
comparison numbers.
yeah, that's cool. And you actually recently got picked up by who? Market Watch?
Yes.
CBS? Is it CBS that does that?
No, I think CBS does something else. I'm not sure, but Market
But you got
Watch.
Market Watch. You got picked up by Market Watch. They ran a thing on your a story about you and how well you've done. So in the last 4 years, that's super exciting, by the way. That's really cool. I hope that
Thank
really
you.
launches your channel and does great things for your channel as well
Thank
as
you.
for your, whatever you might do with your career. But when you have that focus and you've been focused for 4 years now, and I know you said at the beginning when we were talking before the show, you said in the beginning you kind of were super hyper focused about getting out of debt. And tell us kind of, so you started with 147,000, you said that, and 4 years later now, how much is your debt today?
I believe it's around 36 or $37,000 left.
And here's one of the things I know about you, France, and I know you're being kind of modest right there about, you probably know to the dollar how much debt you have because you have a spreadsheet that's tracking
Yeah,
everything right down to the penny, don't you?
I
And
do.
not that you have to be hyper focused like that on your finances, but don't you agree that you have to be aware of where every dollar is going and what every dollar is doing to really get a hold of your finances?
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember like once I started my financial journey, I was tracking down all my expenses, writing down where every dollar was going, even if I was spending like 50 cents on like parking, I still
Hmm.
wrote that down. Yeah, I became very in that moment very obsessed with tracking down everything and making sure that all the money or all the dollar is being assigned somewhere in
Hmm.
my budget.
So first of all, congratulations. That's 110-ish thousand that you've
Yeah,
paid off.
thank
That
you.
is in just 4 years. That is super awesome.
Hmm.
That's like 25 to $30,000 a year. You've just
Hmm.
cranked that thing down. That is so awesome. So congratulations for
Thank
the
you.
progress that you've made. That is so cool. I'm so excited. However, in the last few videos and over the last few months, as I've watched, you've kind of shifted your focus I mean, you're still focused on getting out of debt. However, you've talked a lot more about building your net worth. Tell us
Mhm.
what was the shift? What shifted you from being super hyper focused about getting out of debt to, you know what? I want to build some wealth too. I want to actually start investing, start growing my assets. What was it that's kind of made that happen?
I think as I've gotten older, I've realized how important it is to also build wealth. It's great
Hmm.
that that I'm trying to get rid of this debt, but in the long run, when like 10, 20 years later, I still want to make sure that I have a good, solid foundation for wealth. And the best way to do that now, or the best way to do it is to do it now when I still
Right?
have time on my side. So it's constantly a battle between like, all right, should I put my money towards my debt or should I put money towards my investment? Um, I have found that balance where I can still invest a good amount and still be able to be aggressive with my student loan debt. But I think my shift in terms of making sure that I'm building my net worth, it's become more of thinking further in the future.
That's so awesome. I know on your Instagram page, by the way, what is your Instagram page?
Debt free France, so same
So
as my YouTube channel.
good. Go to her Instagram page because on her Instagram page, she actually has each month, right? You have a picture every once in a while that you put where you put exactly how much money that as your debt decreases.
Yeah.
And you started putting as your net worth
Mhm.
increases. So what
Yeah.
month was it that you crossed over zero? What month was it this year?
For my net worth, I believe I crossed over the 0 point in, like, March or April, which was very early in the year. I was very shocked because I think my goal was to cross the 0 by the end of 2022, but I
Mhm.
actually reached that goal much sooner than I anticipated. So I think it was early in the year, March or April.
Isn't it awesome how that happens? Like when you set a goal, when you set your
Mhm.
mind to something that you might even set a time frame for it, which is part of goal setting, but then you end up getting it ahead of time. Like that is
Yes.
super. I think that's awesome. And just as a reminder for everybody, net worth is when you take your liabilities or your debts and you subtract it from your assets or your investments and what you owe minus subtracted from what you own. And so if she has 30, think about this. If she has $33,000 in debt and in April she crossed over zero, that means she has to have at least $33,000 in assets and investments. So, and it's growing from there because every month you put how much your net worth is growing.
Yeah.
And that's so true. If too many people that I find out there in the world, as I talk to them, they're like, well, I don't really know. I don't know how much I have. I don't, and it's fine if you don't like right off the top of your head recall, but you got to have it somewhere. You got to have it on a spreadsheet. You got to have it where you're tracking whatever you're doing, keeping track of your net worth is what millionaires do. It's what wealthy people
Mhm.
do. It's what people who turn income into wealth do is they keep track and stay accountable to those types of things. And so I think it's super awesome. France, I'm super excited. So tell me a little bit about your journey from here. Like what obviously you're going to keep cranking, getting out of debt.
Mhm.
Oh, actually, before you answer that, what inspired you to start your channel? Like what all of a sudden clicked in your mind that you're like, you know what, I'm going to do a YouTube about this. Like, what was that? Tell us about that.
I started my YouTube channel approximately 2 years ago, I believe at the height of the pandemic, and it was like many people, one of those things where I'm stuck at home, I have nothing to do, let me do something with my time. And I remember I have already been on my debt-free journey for about a year, and not a lot of my friends know about it, and I didn't really have a lot of people to talk to about it. So I
Hmm.
found this community of people who are also on their debt-free journey, and I figured why not share my story as well. I think as a physical therapist, there is a huge misconception where okay, we're doctorates, so so we're making a lot of money, but it's actually not very true. Um, just because we have a doctorate doesn't mean that we're making like a medical doctor salary. Um,
Hmm.
so the debt to income ratio was a huge discrepancy, and I really wanted to spread more awareness about that. So I thought, okay, I'm a PT, I have this amount of loans. Let me make a video about it and see if I can also connect with other therapists who are on the same journey as me. I just found this whole community of people who are also interested in following me on my debt free journey, and it's built from there. So that's how I started my channel.
That's really cool. And now you're actually at a point where you're making money on your channel. So you got that
Yeah.
coming in as income to help you reduce your debts and other things. And I think you have a fantastic, every Tuesday you put out a thing about, you call it Transfer Tuesday, right? Where you put money into
Mhm.
sinking funds. I tell people all the time, imagine what it's like to, and I kind of do it sarcastically, but imagine actually buying something with money you already saved up for it, you know?
Mhm.
And that's what your Transfer Tuesday is, right? Where you actually start saving money for something and then you spend money you already have in savings.
Yeah, it's actually a really great feeling. Like, I have money set aside for certain things I know that I need to spend money on later on, and it's great where I don't need to worry about it. Once it comes time to make the purchase, like, I already have money for it. I'm not stressing over, like, withdrawing, going, or having an overdraft fee on my bank account. It's just such a nice feeling to have that
Yeah,
money already there. Mhm.
it's true. It takes a little bit of discipline to kind of get to the point where, you know, instead of paying for it first and then making a monthly payment for it to actually saving up for it, you got to, it's kind of like you got to reverse how you've been thinking. But saving
Mhm.
up for it is so much more advantageous, so much more economically. It makes more sense financially when you do the numbers because you're going to save yourself so much more money by doing it that way. So tell us a little bit about where you're going from here, Fran. What are you, you're going to continue to grow your channel? Are you going to continue to, because at some point you're going to pay off your debt.
Yeah.
And so what is your, I know that, I don't know if you've looked that far into the future, but what do you think, what's going to happen after that?
Hopefully, once I pay off my student loan debt, then, I will honestly, I haven't really looked that far, but I know that there are some things that I would love to purchase later on in life, such as a house, and that is also a huge payment. So, once I'm done with my debt, I'm pretty much saving the same amount of money that I need, to buy a house. I think I will probably take some time off from my debt-free journey just to enjoy myself a little bit and then begin the savings challenge again. Because there's always going to be something that I would want to buy in the future, but at least I will be, it won't be as stressful.
No, I think that's fantastic. I think once you hit a goal, once you achieve something that you're really striving for and disciplined for, it's important to celebrate. It's important
Hmm.
to take some time to really say, you know what, I did it, I made it. Let me coast for a couple of
Yeah.
months maybe and just chill and do some things that I want to do and travel or maybe buy something fun and then start getting back going and getting disciplined again and saving for the next big thing. So France, any last minute words of wisdom that you want to share with anybody who may need to know or feel like, you know what, maybe they're overwhelmed with debt and they just don't know if they can make it, or maybe they're just struggling with their finances and they're not sure how to really understand all these complicated things. What last minute words of wisdom or inspiration do you want to share?
I think the most important thing about personal finance is you need to remember that it's very personal. So you need to find a way where you can understand it yourself. Don't have someone do it for you. It's great to have guidance, but you also need to understand it yourself. So if it's reading a book that helps you, great, like read books. If it's watching videos about it, keep doing that. Just educate yourself as much as you can so that you can make the most informed decision for yourself. And it's a journey. It's not, I tell people it's a marathon, not a sprint. You won't, you'll get to your end point. It's enjoy the journey while you're at it. It's not gonna happen overnight. You have to take your time with it and um figure out what works for you.
That's excellent advice. That's excellent. Thank you so much, France, for being on the channel for today, and really appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll get to maybe do this again in the future as we track your progress and see how things are going. I'd love to have you back on. And for those of you who are listening today, I want you to know that you can do it. If it can be done, you can do it. And I want to just give you the motivation, the inspiration to know that you can do it, and it's totally possible for you. So if you go and check out Debt Free France. That's where you go to her channel on YouTube. You go to Debt Free France on Instagram. And do you have a website or anything else that you
Mm-mm.
have?
Nope,
Nope. So
that's
go check
it.
her out, follow her, support her in her journey because we all know how important it is to support one another in our journeys as we're trying to do some fantastic things. And the community is really a big deal. So if you missed the last video that I produced, go ahead and click that right here. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel, and look forward to seeing you on the next video.
Thank you so much.